hey, I'm going to show you how psychic I am. And she tried to find something, you know, and she went to the depths and darkness of his soul and found his real weak link, and that's what she was doing there. And, I don't know if I'm right or not, but apparently she was able to guess or had knowledge that this guy had a history with teenage boys. And cut to, the late 90s, and I'm talking to some people about Psychop and the curious level of people involved in that with, some dubious credentials. I bring up Randi, and I mentioned that story, and the people started laughing because apparently there was this tape that had been circulating, which I'm sure your listeners know about, or do they know about it? Do you think it's common knowledge among your viewership about James Randi and the tapes?
Well, probably.
Let's hear it,
Rob. Before we get into that, I want to pass it over to Viz for a second.
Oh yeah.
Give out the phone number if anybody wants to call in.
Well, you want me to interrupt this while you're hitting all these heads? All right, yeah.
It's a cliffhanger.
All right, yeah.
Besides, I can always bash away later.
Oh no, save the best for us, whatever you do, yeah. All right, now we're a little bit past the bottom of the hour, 37 minutes after the hour. We want to give out the phone number for all those folks who want to make a comment, which ought to be good, or ask a question of Rob Sterling, our guest today. Rob, we haven't talked too much about this, and before I give out the phone number, why don't you tell us where people can check out where you're at and what you offer? I think you have a website and a blog. Would you give us that at this time?
Absolutely. It's Konformist.com. That's Konformist with a K for the website, The Konformist, which, started basically in 96 and was one of the first real conspiracy magazines on the Internet, first by email and then by website. And, it was really at the peak of the whole conspiracy craze. I would say it's fair to say 0.0 to the whole Internet conspiracy scene. And it's still around. Maybe it's not 0.0 anymore. I give rents.com or prisonplanet.com or one of those, disinfo.com, probably are closer more to the center. But, I think it's still respected for, the place where really conspiracy culture started. And I have my own blog called Robalini, ROBALINI.blogspot.com, and you can see a lot of news stories that I link to, from things from conspiracies to things like the Kentucky Fried Chicken sandwich that has chicken for buns.
Okay. All right. Let me give out the phone number, too. It's area code 724-444-7444. And the ID is 75423 with the pound sign. There's also a prompt after that. Just follow it. And actually, if you're on the website and listening, you should have that information before you. So if you want to make a comment or ask a question, please do so. Adam's got the phones going. And Rob, I just wanted to mention one thing, okay? You guys were just in passing talking about that whole rat's nest known as Wall Street with Madoff and Goldman Sachs. And if you just indulge me for a second, what I thought was interesting was that my brother-in-law is a Broadway musician and almost jumped into something like that. In fact, exactly that, but something told him to stay away. I think, in a sense, that came under the heading with what Madoff was offering as something too good to be true. But isn't it interesting? See, he did it outside the institutionalization with which Goldman Sachs did it. So I think somewhere along the line he got hung out to dry. When Goldman Sachs does it, they just do some backtracking and, they'll take whatever kind of little hit they get. But you don't screw with the bankers and win in this country. What do you think?
I think you're totally right. In fact, what's so funny, if you don't mind me changing horses that I'm beating now from Randi to Wall Street, is, you read the details of this Goldman Sachs thing, and you keep hearing, pretty much everyone did it too, what commentators say. And I even remember 2 years ago, I was even commenting on this one curious case. There was a I don't know if how many of your viewers are aware of the Carlyle Group.
Oh, yeah.
It's an investment group that, basically had among its investors
the Bushes.
Both the Bush and the Bin Laden families. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they actually had, in like 2007, I think they started it. It was the first time in their entire history, and they have a long, respectable history as a private investment firm, that they had a public spinoff of Carlyle, and it was basically a spinoff of housing subprime loans that they were basically doing to the public. And it's really weird, like their whole history, they've never done it before, and as far as I know, they haven't done it since, because it turned out, of course, to be an astounding failure. I even sent an article about this recently by someone who talking about it, like saying that it was released at the worst time possible for something like this to happen, which, makes it seem like they made a big mistake. But, 2 years ago, when I was, reporting on, I noted, what it looked like to me was that these guys at Carlyle looked at their balance sheets, saw all these subprime loans, realized it was going to be a loser and could bring down the entire company. So what they did is they basically turned it into their first public investment offering, and that way the public could buy into the Carlyle Group name, thinking, oh, this has got to be a great investment. It turns out it's their worst assets, and that all these people would lose money, and they'd be basically left off the hook, which is pretty much what happened. And that's basically what happened with Goldman Sachs. So my guess even 2 years ago was it sounded like that's what was going on, and if so, it's basically amounted to fraud and criminal activity.
Sure. Well,
and that's just me without even having any inside information, observing that news story, coming to those conclusions. Now, if the SEC even wanted to look at this, I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to find criminal activity by Carlyle Group, but it looks like they may just, try to pin it on Goldman Sachs or find a few scapegoats and try to, rather than show that the whole thing was systematic.
If you don't mind, let me add something, because you got me thinking. What I did was I hit a favorite site from an all-talk news radio station in New York. When I was there, I used to listen to WCBS all the time, and now I listen to it online. But with this whole thing going on with Wall Street, I've been watching carefully, because people are being given a shell game right now, and what's going on behind the scenes is extremely interesting and likely to rear its head in another couple of months. But having said that, I want to let you know, the SEC sucks. I mean, not worth anything anyway. But get this, they're going to kick some ass. So here's the headline of the story. SE chief says regulators examining Lehman Brothers accounting. Great, now that they're dead. But what they're saying is they want to find out. There's a tactic known as Repo 105, which is okay. All right. So here's the deal. Get this. The SEC Commission head chairman, Mary Shapiro, is asking whether or not the other 19 largest banks are using that too. Well, you ask him, and you know what? You're probably going to get an honest answer. This is such a joke with this stuff going on. And what you said about Bush and Carlyle, Rob, do you remember when they came out, some Dutch company, some Dutch film crew that came out with a documentary on Carlyle and Bush? And Bush denies it, to the American public. This is Daddy Bush, not Shrub Bush.
Right.
Right. And here they got all the goods on him, and the guy goes around giving speeches out for like $1 million. I mean, I'm not sure about that. But, understand too that his grandfather was also indicted on trading with the enemy, along with Averell Harriman, who's a big cog, or was, in New York State. They weren't convicted, obviously. But, I mean, people don't realize when it comes to banking and money, they're the only ones that really win when there's any kind of war whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, more to the point on the father of George H.W. Bush.
Prescott,
yeah. He, basically, the short end is he was the official banker for Hitler and the Nazis in the United States. And, his work as their banker, no small part helped fund the Nazis through the 20s and the early 30s.